How about Trey Turner? Trey Turner, again, these aren't bad numbers. But we expect more from the number 4 or number 5 pick overall in fantasy baseball than a 274 average, 6 homers, 32 runs, 19 RBIs, and yes, 17 stolen bases. You thought you got more out of him than that, right? At least I would have thought that had I drafted him that high. So, that's kind of my 3 players. I do want to talk just a little bit before I transition quickly into some free agents. I want to talk about some MVPs, my mid-season MVPs, if you will. I think it's fun to do this. We spend a lot of time talking about these guys. Here we are on the cusp of the All-Star break. I want to talk about just some things, maybe a little bit differently than some other folks will do it. So let's talk about the awards. NL MVP, I think it's pretty obvious. Christian Yelich, 330 with 30 homers, 65 RBIs, 66 runs, and 28 stolen bases. 30 homers at the All-Star break is pretty impressive. It's been done more than I thought it had. I think it'd been done like 15 times. So kind of diminished a little bit, but I still think 30 homers out of Christian Yelich is really impressive. He is a pretty quality player, but the NL has a lot of quality MVP type names. Your Bellingers, your Bells, your Alonzos, right? What about the AL? UT? I want your input here. And I know we're kind of running out of time, but who's the AL MVP? I mean, yeah, I know, Mike Trout. I get that. Let's say Mike Trout's out of the conversation. Who's your AL MVP? Minus Mike Trout. Now, I know what y'all are going to say. That's unfair because you're taking away the best player. But now let's talk about. This is to talk about just how good Mike Trout really is. Okay, so let's talk about some numbers. Let's talk about maybe who some of the other candidates might be. DJ at MVP. You're absolutely right. That's what. Thanks, Lenny. You teed it up for me. 345, right? Pretty impressive. 12 homers. Really good. But is it MVP worthy? I don't know that 24 homers is MVP worthy if you double them up, right? I don't think he gets to 24 homers. Okay? The other point to that is he's not the MVP of that team, guys. Hell, he's not second MVP on that team. I mean, so let's look at it like this. Aaron Judge stays healthy the rest of the year, right? Aaron Judge or DJ LeMahieu? It's kind of a no-brainer, right? How about Ed Wing? Ed Wing, who leads the AL in homers with 24, but he's hitting 224. Matt Chapman, that's great, man. You know, the thing about, and that's a very good point. He's had a great season. The A's need to contend for that to be an issue, a valid argument, right, UT? But Matt Chapman is absolutely. How about Mookie Betts, right? 66 runs, second in the majors. But does 261 speak to you? It doesn't speak to me. 13 homers, I'm not impressed, right? So again, I just do this exercise to kind of talk about the distance between, right? Now, I know Aaron Judge is hurt, and I know Springer got hurt. There's some other guys that we could kind of talk about and probably rationalize closing that gap some, but I'm talking about point in time right now, right? It's a pretty far distance between Mike Trout, who's, having a pedestrian year. He's only hitting 297. He's only got 22 homers. He's only got 63 runs and 57 RBIs and 8 stolen bases. And his team stinks. So anyway, that's just kind of where I'm going with that, right? Just an interesting little perspective as to how big that gap is in the American League, okay? So let's talk about some other guys. How about the most surprising player? I'm gonna give you the guy, and I know we've all talked about him ad nauseum. Josh Bell. Josh Bell, guys. I'm glad I got you guys in here. Who does Josh Bell's swing remind you of? Lenny, UT? Just curious. I have a player in mind. I want to see if you guys can think of it. And don't pull out this pie trainer crap, you old timers. I kid. So anyway, Josh Bell, 308, 25 homers, 68 runs, 77 RBI. Again, his team stinks. He's more or less doing it by himself. I mean, so let's talk about it. He's got 74 extra base hits. I like that. Dave Parker. No, that's not who I was thinking about. I'm not saying you're wrong. I mean, this is a fun game, right? So 74 extra base hits through the first half of the season. Projected out through the course of the year is 154 extra base hits. 154 extra base hits puts him third all time in extra base hits. Behind, I'm sorry, I looked for this. I couldn't find it. I heard it this morning. I think it was Babe Ruth and Mickey Mantle or something like that. So third most, he's on pace, projected out for third most total bases in the history of baseball. Behind like Babe Ruth, I think it's Mantle, or I can't remember who it was. And I look for it. It's a shame because it's a great stat. So again, I just, not to belabor the point, okay? But let's talk about Bell's stats throughout his career. So in 17, he hit 255. In 18, he hit 261. So far this year, he's hitting 308. Career best, right? In 2017, he hit 26 homers. In 2018, he hit 12 homers. He's got 25 homers already. He's going to smash his home run record. And 90 RBIs in 217, 62 in 218, and this year he's already got 77. Guys, that's not to mention he's hit half the balls in the Allegheny River that have ever been hit in the Allegheny River, and he's done them all this year. Please don't sell Josh Bell. Okay, so my most surprising player is Josh Bell. UT, I'll tell you, who he reminds me of is Ken Griffey Jr. So I could see Dave Parker. I see the short, effortless swing. I remember Parker. But my take was Ken Griffey Jr. So, we said the biggest surprise. How about the biggest disappointment? Well, that's an hour in and of itself, right? Too many to name. But I think I could start with Jesus Aguilar. With his 205 average and 5 homers. Coming off a 274 with 35 homers and 108 RBIs last year. I guess I could start there. Or maybe I started Jose Ramirez. It's 214 with 5 homers. Last year he had 270 with 39. So that's my take on those guys. How about rookies of the year? The no-brainers in the National League, right? I mean, obviously, Pete Alonso is smashing records. He's got 28 home runs already. The next closest in home runs is Lau. And then Riley, Chavis, Walker, Tellez, and Jimenez all have 14. So he's got 28. The next closest has 15. He is smashing the competition. Now, I think it's going to be a little closer at the end of the year because I think Mr. Yordan Alvarez is going to have something to say about that in the end. But that being said, how about rookie batting average, right? And I say this to kind of put in perspective like how we want to line up our rookies of the year, right? So put rookie batting average. Brian Reynolds is honestly probably the biggest surprise of the majors. He's hitting 351. Nothing was really thought about him. He really didn't even have a job at the beginning of the year. Had to earn his way onto the team. But once he got in there, he's not let it go. He's not relinquished it. He's hitting 351, leading all rookies. And then how about Fernando Tatis? Fernando Tatis is the guy who kind of gets lost in the discussions with all these other, outstanding rookies, but his numbers are outstanding. He's hitting 337, which is second among all rookies. Okay? Kevin Newman, another Pirate, hitting 327, is third among all rookies in batting average. Again, I think he's at a 20-game hitting streak now or something like that. This is a kid who didn't have it given to him at the beginning of the year, had to earn it, and now he is not giving it up. The last two I found surprising. Jordan Alvarez, 317, and Oscar Mercado at 314, right? So those two guys are over 300, and really, deserve to be talked about in the Rookie of the Year discussion. Okay, so let's talk about our final threes. And the AL, this is really tough. I'm gonna list them out a certain way, but I'm gonna also give a precursor. So my AL Rookie of the Year, Brandon Lau. All year long, this guy has been consistent. He has hit 268. He hit a home run tonight, so he now has 16 homers, 47 RBIs, and 39 runs. Projected out over 162 games. He's on pace for a 29 homer pace and 99 RBIs. So here's a guy who's been consistent all year long. At the moment, he has the AL lead, in my opinion. But this guy's gained his team. Lourdes Gurriel. 318, okay? He's hitting 318 with 14 homers, 33 RBIs, and 33 runs. He's already got more runs, he's already got more homers, and he's only 2 RBIs away from what he did all of last year, okay? Lourdes Gurriel is a star in the making. A star in the making, okay? The third guy I want to talk about in the American League, Jordan Alvarez. Jordan Alvarez, 317, 7 homers in just 16 games, guys. I don't want to get too much into him. I've talked about him a lot, and we still got a long way to go because I want to talk about the NL. The NL is clear. Pete Alonso has blown us all away. 278 with 28 homers, 54 runs, and 64 RBIs. Guys, this guy is on pace to set the team home run record, to set the rookie home run record, to hit 50 homers in his rookie year. This guy is really impressive. Lenny, are you saying you said it first? I think I said it first. Doesn't matter. We can both take credit, right? Lourdes is a stud. So, your name carries more weight, I guess, so you get credit. Fernando Tatis, number 2 in the National League. And here's the guy. Right? Same guy who said Alonso hits 220. Here's the guy, Fernando Tatis. He's hitting 337, guys, like I said. He's got 11 homers and 13 RBIs, which don't sound great. But if you take away his injury and you project what he's done out over to 162 games, he's projected for 36 homers and 43 RBIs. Guys, there's not many players who can do that. I mean, Fernando Tatis is the guy that is most underrated of this whole group, maybe outside of Lourdes. And then third in the NL is Austin Riley. Again, 273, 14 homers already. Projected him out to 53 homers, 121 runs, and 139 RBIs. So, a lot of competition there, right? Now, sorry. Real quick, I know I'm running out of time. I know no one's on at 8, but I try and keep to that. I do have some free agents that you guys might want to jot down, if you will. Some guys that maybe aren't on radars. How about Garrett Hampson? I know, we've all kissed that pig before. But, here's a guy, if he can just get consistent at bats, I really do believe that he deserves and is capable of performing. And he's a stolen base guy, right? So you really have to keep giving him chances as long as the Rockies are going to do it. At 11% owned, again, he's a stinker, 206 and a homer, 17 runs, 8 RBIs, and 3 stolen bases. But if he could just get his sea legs, he has the talent, okay? Here's a guy who's found his sea legs, J.P. Crawford. J.P. Crawford's hitting 310, 3 homers, 17 RBIs, and 17 runs and 22 RBIs. He's hitting second in Seattle's lineup, guys. So there's someone you can add